of 256, which means for both of these players it is the final best of one, but one of them will go on to the best of threes while the other will be out of the tournament entirely. Spawning over here in the bottom left hand corner as the red Zerg player representing XMG, we have Xlord. Worth noting that this is our first pro player of the day that we've been casting. So many cool players from all walks of life, and his opponent, the Swedish Zerg player in the top right-hand position, spawning in the purple colors, we have Roxi.
So, the tweet is out. That is always good news, of course. If you want to tweet at us, you can find Jorisar at Jorisar, or myself at MaddlesSC2, and of course at GameSocial as well, who are putting on the stream. So, send us some tweets, let us know what you're thinking. But ZVZ, we should be seeing some Mutalisks. That's a pretty safe bet. Mid-game is, well, pretty much the meta-game of ZVZ at the moment is all about the Muta, unless, of course, you are going for some kind of super early aggression, which is always a good thing to do, because you can get some very interesting things, such as big Ling-Bling pushes. You can even take a fake hatchery into just mass speedlings, and I am correct in thinking this is still a best of one.
Yes, you are. This would be the final best of one for both players until we get into the best of threes, I do believe.
Now, the best of threes are going to be very, very exciting, where you have to be slightly less cautious about potential cheesing or big all-in plays and can play a little more straight up. But both these two do need to be very careful, but they're both very good players, so I'm not really expecting either one to do anything too all-in-ish.
Roxi going for that hatchery first as well, whereas we see the pool first from Xlord, just being a little bit safer. We'll be able to establish map control slightly earlier on in the game with a couple of early links should he choose to do so, and of course he'll be able to get his queen out sooner as well. But once the spawning pool completes, of course Roxi will be able to get double queen out simultaneously. So in reality, these builds are effectively converging on the same thing, provided we don't see a cheese in the next minute or two.
And of course, you can never rule out cheese because, well, let's face it, in ZVZ, you can look like you're doing nothing but droning and then switch completely into army production, get a lot of Zerglings out, get some Banelings out, etc. And that's when things can go all very, very wrong for you. But at the moment, we just see that the gas is being taken by Roxi. We've also got the gas already down for, the gas coming down for Xlord, already down for Roxi. The spawning pool is nearly complete for Roxi as well. And this is where things really start to even out.
Yeah, I think basically, guys, this game is going to look a little bit like a mirror in just a moment once the hatchery from Xlord completes as well. Both sides, of course, mining gas, and we'll be researching Zergling speed as well. And as you can see, there's a little bit of a discrepancy in that Roxi will be able to get his speed just a bit quicker than Xlord, but it's not enough of a difference, for example, to compensate for Lings moving out across the map or something like that. We have a queen from Xlord just harassing an overlord here towards the natural expansion, but nothing major. And both sides are really going to settle into a macro game, effectively even worker supply, everything looking very, very normal so far. So Muta versus Muta, Maddles, I think high possibility here.
A very high possibility, and of course it's not just as simple as who has the most mutas. There's other nice little things that can work, such as putting Zerglings underneath the Muta or Muta fight soaks up some of the bouncing glaive damage, a really important trick that every Zerg player should be executing. But currently both of these two getting down their Baneling nests, and we are assuming that we'll get to Muta or Muta, but a lot can go wrong or right depending on your perspective with Ling Bling.
That's very true as well. You need to be oh so careful. Just one or two rogue Baneling explosions can ruin your entire day in a ZVZ. I think both sides, or actually Xlord getting a spine crawler as well, that's going to help give him a little bit of margin for error, because a spine crawler will be able to do a lot of damage to an incoming army. We don't have a spine crawler coming out from Roxi just yet, though, so Roxi will have a couple more minerals to play with, but it looks like he's just going to be relying on a couple of defensive Zerglings and Banelings alone without the use of that spine crawler, and the second, third, and fourth gases have been taken by both players, and they're both going up to layer as well. So it looks like they are looking to go for that Spire.
Now, Spires, as we mentioned, are pretty much the standard metagame. I think every ZVZ I've cast recently has gone to Mutalisks, and that in itself is quite an interesting choice. The reason they're so good, though, is because they're very mobile. They've also, in Heart of the Swarm, had that buff to their health regeneration, which means that you've really got to kill them for it all to be over. Currently, though, Roxi taking a third hatchery. The layers are both three-quarters done for both players.
And you've really got to kill them to kill them, Maddles.
You've really got to kill them to kill them. Because
if you don't kill them, then you can't kill them. Glad we got that one out there. God, I was confused for a second.
I like to keep it pretty solid. And for people asking in the chat, by the way, the reason we are casting pretty similar matches to what's on the ESL stream with Colaris is because during this stage of the bracket, most of the high-profile games are done on pretty much all of the streams. So when we get later on and we get more pickings, then obviously we'll start trying to differentiate.
And it's worth noting, actually, for a couple of the last games, ESL have been the ones following us in.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not the other way around, guys. But no, we're looking forward to it. I think it's great that we have multiple coverage of the same games. But I agree. I think once we get into sort of the round of 64 and beyond, we should start to see individual streams pick and choose. And there'll be a lot more pro players as well for the streams to divide their attention out of. Whereas right now, we're trying to pick up any game that's about to start so that we don't end up with a situation where there's a lot of downtime.
Now, currently we've got some Ling on Ling action. Both players have got speed done. Both players getting some bailings out. The Spires incredibly similar in their timing. The big difference in this game so far is just that third hatchery for Roxi. It is a lock. It's down so much sooner. Extra production is really going to help. The extra gas can also help. We've got a small engagement coming down, though. And as you can see, the Banelings are rolling in, but the Spine Caller doing a good job of knocking those all out. But more Banelings are still following up.
Oh dear, and this third base. Oh, the Baneling's actually moving straight past the third base, and these three Banelings from Xlord could actually do an incredible amount of damage. Even if the Queen gets one of them, the other two could do a lot of damage, and Roxy's not looking! He's not looking, and a lot of drones go down in the natural expansion. Wait, what? 6? Okay, I thought way more than that died.
6 went down, but more importantly, Xlord is losing a lot of stuff to just a big speedling run by his third base, I believe, wasn't cancelled. So that in itself means that he lost quite a bit there, but the first Mutalists are hitting the field. Xlord getting the +1 flyer carapace because that reduces the damage of bounce attacks, and it is the better upgrade to get in ZVZ.
It definitely is. You want to make sure those bouncing clays do as little damage as possible in long-term Muta versus Muta. We have Roxy now out with some Mutas trying to clean up this speedling run by at the third base location. Still has the hatchery there, though, and that's going to be the advantage in the long run over Xlord. The work supply is 47 to 44 in favor of Roxy, but Roxy will just have more larvae to deal with. We need to remake the Queen at the third base location, which I believe was taken out, and as soon as Roxy does that, he'll just have that many more larvae to work with, and he'll be able to go up 2 additional drones without Xlord being able to counter, really, because he just doesn't have the larvae to produce that army.
Now we do see that Roxy rather is supply blocked momentarily. That is going to be quite frustrating. The 3 Overlords in production are still 10 seconds away from completion, but Xlord, he's doing just such a good job. He's really quite heavily supply blocking Roxy now, and that in itself is a great way to use Mutalists. The Muta flock currently 10 to 15 in Roxy's favor due to the fact that he's got the additional gas, but we've got some Mutas engaging. One does get taken down, and any Muta you get for free is always going to be a brilliant trade.
Carapace level 1 is faster for Xlord, but it's still 30 seconds away from completion. Both of these Mutas are 0-0 at the moment. Roxy with the greater numbers, and he's now engaging at the natural expansion. 13, 12 to 11 at the moment, and actually Xlord dropping down to 9. So Roxy marginally getting away with this thanks to the bounce clays being absorbed by a lot of those units underneath. 6 to 6 Mutas now. This is as close as you can get, but I think the hatchery has absorbed too many bounce clays, and Roxy, despite starting with the larger numbers, is going to lose the Muta battle. But simultaneously, look at those Lings in the main and natural. Both these players really socking it to each other.
Yep, all of the drones are going down. This is an absolute genocide of the drones. But what we can see is, of course, that Roxy has now lost his third hatchery as well. Lost a lot of units at the natural base. Both players with the Zerglings, but I think Roxy's coming out better. And indeed, if we look at the worker killed, now 42 have been knocked out. 44, 45, 47. This is absolutely insane. Xlord down to just 1 drone on the field. That is not a good point. And if Roxy is able to get out, a good number of Mutalists now should be absolutely fine to take this game.
Those Zergling run-bys were absolutely clutch there. Xlord was focused so hard on getting to a position where his Mutalists would be able to fight advantageously against the Mutas of Roxy. He successfully did that. Roxy started with 15 Mutas versus significantly less from Xlord, but Xlord still able to win that engagement. Simultaneously, though, Roxy moved in with those Lings, and that's what did the damage in the main base, in the natural, and now Xlord has to win with this attack, or he's going to be out of the tournament.
10 seconds until Roxy's +1 flyer carapace kicks in, but the Queen's doing a lot to help here, and there is the GG. Well played.